Please subscribe my channel. Last week, my mom surprised me with a birthday dinner at a classic diner with red booths and bright neon lights glowing. The waitress placed a big sheet cake in front of me. The candles flickered softly. Everyone pulled out their phones to record. I leaned forward, thinking it would be something fun and innocent. Then the frosting formed clear words. Oops. Still a disappointment. Mom clapped her hands excitedly. Tyler kept filming. Dad just stared down at the table. I pushed my chair back and stood up. Uncle Mark grabbed my arm gently. "Don't cause a scene," he said. I leaned close and whispered one short sentence to him. 2 days later, my entire family was in full panic mode. Before I continue, let me know where you're watching this from: a quiet kitchen, a parked car, or a room you finally made your own. Echoes of Life is right here with you. I grew up in a home where family jokes always had a biting edge. Laura called it just teasing, like it was no big deal. If I ever complained, she'd tell me I was being too sensitive. Stephen hardly ever stood up against it. Tyler picked up her sharp tone as an easy way to fit in. Mark joined in, loud and full of himself. I was the one who carried the bags, managed the schedules, and said sorry for everything. By 25, I had my own tiny apartment with a humming fridge, worn carpet, and towels that smelled like fresh laundry soap. I was looking for a steady job and taking temporary gigs to cover rent. Laura always kept a mental list of my failures. She loved comparing me to people your age who had perfect life plans. But I kept showing up anyway. A few months before my birthday, Stephen asked me for a small favor. His back was hurting, and he needed help cleaning out his home office. I drove over with the coffee in the cup holder. The house smelled like lemon polish and old papers. He pointed to some boxes and sat down, looking tense. I pulled out the cardboard boxes, getting dust on my hands, old tax forms, warranties, bank statements with unfamiliar logos. Then I spotted a beige folder with soft, worn corners. My name was written on the tab, Emily. Underneath that single word, education. Inside were investment papers signed by my grandfather Richard. Money had been added regularly for years, quietly and consistently. Then it suddenly stopped. Large withdrawals started showing up instead, uneven amounts. Some pages had Laura's name on them. Others had marks, with notes like family expenses. By the last statement, almost nothing was left. The account was closed right before I had to take out my first student loans. I took photos of every single page, carefully. Then I placed the folder back exactly where I found it. On the drive home, my bag felt much heavier than usual because I finally realized this wasn't just about one mean cake. They had been using my future money for years. For 2 days, I left my phone completely off. My apartment was peacefully quiet on purpose, just the fridge humming and distant traffic sounds below. I went to my temp job and smiled politely at coworkers. I came home to simple microwave dinners and folded my clothes neatly. On the third morning, I turned my phone back on. There were missed calls from Laura, Stephen, Mark, and Tyler. Laura's first message sounded sweet, but hurt. "Call me back, Emily. You embarrassed the whole family." Then her tone shifted. "You're overreacting. It was only a joke." She kept using the word family like it settled everything. Stephen's voicemail was quieter, but it hurt more. "Honey, please talk to your mother." He never mentioned the words on the cake. He never said he should have stopped it. He just wanted the drama to stop. Mark texted, "Don't do anything stupid." Then, "You owe this family." What I had whispered to Mark was straightforward. I found the folder. Tyler sent a laughing emoji and a short video clip. He wrote, "This is going viral in our group chat." I sat on my couch, watching my hands tremble. The room smelled like cold coffee and dish soap. I opened the family group chat anyway. New messages were already twisting the story. Emily can't take a joke. Emily always makes everything about herself. No one said that was cruel. I typed one brief message and sent it. I found the education fund Grandpa Richard set up for me. I have copies of all the statements and withdrawal records. I won't discuss this here in text. Then I turned my phone face down. Something inside me finally settled. That afternoon, my Aunt Susan called. She lives across the country in another state and usually stays out of our family drama. Her voice was calm and steady. I heard about the cake, she said. Now I'm hearing about money. I told her everything about Stephen's office, the beige folder, my name, the word education, the regular deposits that ended, the withdrawals signed by Laura and Mark, the account closed before my student loans began. Susan listened without interrupting once. When I finished, she let out a long breath. Send me everything, she said. That day, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop. I typed quickly, attached the files, and lined up all the photos. When the email sent, my stomach flipped because evidence like this doesn't stay hidden, and neither do people who rely on secrets. The next time my mother laughed about it, it sounded nervous and scared. If this happened in your family, in your life, what would you choose? Comment 1 if you'd swallow it to keep the peace and protect the family's image. Comment 2 if you tell the truth, even if it shattered everything. Susan acted quickly, the way calm people often do. She sent me a lawyer's name and contact info. No lectures, no pressure, just protect yourself. The lawyer needed official documents, not just phone photos. He requested records directly from the investment firm and the bank. He wrote a formal demand letter to Laura and Mark. Susan was copied on it, so another person saw it all in writing. The next day, the family group chat tone completely changed. No more jokes. No more memes from Tyler. Just long messages about loyalty and keeping things private. Mark wrote, "Keep outsiders out of family matters." Laura wrote, "After everything I've sacrificed for you, you're attacking me." Stephen typed, "Please talk before this escalates." No one wrote, "Did we steal her money?" Then my cousin Brooke asked a direct question. "What year exactly did the account close?" Another cousin followed with an even sharper one. "Why did Emily have to take out loans if the money was there?" Silence was the only reply. That night, there was a soft knock at my apartment door, patient and persistent, like the person felt entitled to my time. I looked through the peephole and my heart sank. Laura stood there, coat not fully buttoned, hair pulled back tightly. I opened the door but stayed in the doorway. She stepped inside anyway, glancing around my small space, the thrift store couch, shaky table, stack of bills on the counter. The fridge hummed loudly, and she seemed to notice it like it was judging her. She started with her calm, reasonable voice. "I came because I'm worried about you." Then she dismissed the cake. "You misunderstood a silly joke." When I stayed quiet, she moved to the money. She called those years tough times and family emergencies. She said Mark and I both benefited from their decisions. She claimed the fund was just sitting unused. She said I should feel thankful they kept a roof over everyone's head. Her words twisted stealing into something like loving sacrifice. She never said my name softly or kindly. She used family like a chain to pull me back. She watched my face, waiting for me to give in like before. I gripped my coffee mug tightly with both hands to keep steady. I told her I wouldn't discuss it without my lawyer. I told her I wasn't dropping the demand letter. I told her the official records would explain everything. Her smile faltered, then turned cold. "You're really going through with this," she whispered. "Not I'm sorry, not we were wrong. Just shocked that guilt trips weren't enough." She left without a hug or a backward glance. The hallway light turned off after her. 10 minutes later, Stephen called, sounding exhausted and flat. He didn't deny any of the documents. He just asked me to consider what this would do to my mother. That's when it hit me clearly. They weren't confused about what happened. They were afraid of paying for it. The court papers arrived on a Tuesday, thin, official envelope in beige. My name was printed above a case number, then a court date, time, and room. I held it over the kitchen sink under the bright light. My hand shook, but my thoughts were steady. This wasn't a family talk anymore. It was legal now. Weeks of documents and letters led to that hearing. The morning arrived gray and chilly. My shoes echoed on the stone courthouse steps. Inside, hallways carried muffled voices. The courtroom felt plain and serious. Wooden benches, raised judge's seat, 2 tables facing front, no space for emotional displays. My lawyer arranged the evidence like a clear timeline. Grandpa Richard's original account forms with my name as beneficiary. Months of regular deposits. Then the abrupt end. Large, irregular withdrawals. Laura's signature on some. marks on others, transfers straight to their personal accounts. No payments for my tuition, housing, or school costs. Just vague notes about family needs. Their lawyers spoke about difficult years, keeping a home together, medical costs, sudden crises. He said Laura did what any devoted mother would. He claimed Mark only borrowed temporarily. He argued I was reducing love to cold numbers. The judge ignored the emotional pleas. He focused on the facts, dates, signatures, authorizations. He asked where the money actually went. Their answers stayed vague. The documents did not. When the decision came, it was straightforward and calm. Full repayment ordered in a specific amount, including estimated growth over time, not guesses. A strict payment schedule with firm deadlines. Missed payments would trigger enforcement, liens, garnishments, collections. I didn't feel triumphant. I felt older, like a chapter had permanently closed. What was stolen couldn't be undone, but now it had a name and a price. Outside, the air smelled like rain on pavement. Susan squeezed my hand once firmly. That afternoon, the group chat exploded again. Laura wrote about feeling publicly humiliated. Mark called it betrayal. Stephen posted a short plea for peace. Brooke asked, "So you're admitting it happened?" No reply came. 2 days later, Laura sent a handwritten letter. She rewrote the story around sacrifice, survival, and a mother trying her hardest. Her apology was buried under excuses. I read a few paragraphs, then stopped. I folded it neatly and threw it away. No dramatic burning or tearing, just a clear line drawn. That week, I changed my apartment locks. I blocked Mark's number. I told Stephen we would only communicate by email. I deleted the entire family group chat. My apartment grew quiet once more. This time, the silence felt like something I had earned. They could hold onto their version of events. I was holding onto my life. A few months later, things still weren't simple. My student loans didn't disappear just because a judge ruled. But my days no longer revolved around their opinions or moods. I kept the same small apartment. The fridge still hummed at night, but the space felt lighter. No more dreading the next guilt-filled call. I set up my own repayment plan. I tracked everything in a basic spreadsheet. Rent, food, loan minimums, and a small savings column. I accepted more reliable work when it came. I stopped justifying my decisions to people who only criticized them. Therapy became my regular time to face the real truth, not their polished family story, but the one held in my body. The clenched jaw, shallow breathing, old habit of apologizing for taking up space. I learned one important truth. Love without respect isn't safe. It's just a trap dressed up nicely. Stephen emailed twice after the hearing. He asked if I could forgive my mother. He never asked what the theft truly cost me. I replied politely and shortly. I wished him well, then restated my boundaries. Laura tried one last time through a cousin, a peace offering family dinner. No mention of the fund. No mention of the cake. Just an easy reset for her sake. I didn't attend. I didn't explain or argue. I stayed home, brewed tea, and enjoyed the calm. It no longer felt empty. It felt safe. I used to believe I was difficult to love. Now I understand I was simply easy to take advantage of. And I've stopped giving away pieces of my future to prove my worth. I didn't cut them off to hurt them. I did it to truly start living. If this story touched you, please like and share it. Subscribe for more echoes of life, stories of quiet courage, and stay tuned for the next one.